So today we're going to be talking about the Connecticut Sun, and I'm not sure there is a worse franchise in all of sports. Genuinely. Genuinely. I don't know if there's a worse franchise in sport. Because, like, they're refusing to do anything for their future and they suck in the present. And by the way, this isn't even like we think Tyler Hero is going to be a superstar type situation. This is we are coming into a season where every single player on our roster that isn't on a rookie contract is going to be a free agent, and we don't have our pick. So what are we going to try to do? Win. And not only that, the worst part is you can be like, oh, there's no need to tank. If they don't have their own pick, there's no point tanking. You tank. Do you want to know why you tank? Because the WNBA is some stupid 2-year system where it's whoever has the worst record over 2 years. Like, it's madness. It's madness. Like, there was a stage where the Indiana Fever were in the playoffs. I think this is that Olympic break. They were in the playoffs by like a game and a half. But if they managed to get knocked out of the playoffs, they would have had the best odds for number one pick. Like, it was that crazy. Like, the 2-year thing, where a team can have the fifth, or can be one spot off making the playoffs, but still have the best odds number one pick, like Indiana in 2023. Or be the worst team in the WNBA, and it doesn't matter because you were good the previous year. And the Connecticut Sun were really good the previous year. The Connecticut Sun could go 10-34, probably the worst record in the W, and still probably end up with the 5th pick next year. And by the way, you also have to take into account that there are 2 expansion teams. No one knows what's going to happen with the 2 expansion teams coming in. They might end up with the 7th pick, giving it to Chicago in a draft that is probably better at the top end after number 1, but not as deep as 2025. And then everyone knows 2027 is where you want your lottery picks, because if you have the best chance of getting number 1, okay, you get Juju Watkins. And if you don't get number 1, as a consolation, if you end up 2, 3, or 4, you get one of Madison Booker and Michaela Williams, or maybe Full Wiley steps up, or obviously Hannah Hidalgo. So you get one of these superstars in that draft. And by the way, or you could throw a complete curveball it and draft the 7'5" Zhang Jiu. You could do that. But what they're doing is, you're meant to tank this year and then, go and tank next year and get yourself Juju, or at least try to get yourself Juju. Not only that, you've got 2 players in your roster that have any value, that you can get future assets for, that you could get future first-round picks for, and you've refused to trade them. Like, you could have probably gotten the number 7 pick. Tash Cloud wanted to go to the Liberty. The Liberty wanted Tash Cloud. You could have probably got pick number 7 for Tash Cloud and used that to take a player who, I don't know, isn't going to leave your team in 12 months' time, and isn't going to pout and be pissed off that they're in Connecticut and play not up to their potential. And now they've just flat out denied Marina Mabrey's trade request. Why? You could probably swing some sort of a deal to get your pick back. So what's going to happen now? You're going to end this season as the 8th seed, get swept in the first round of the playoffs, and screw your chances of getting Juju Watkins up? Like, that's the dumbest thing ever. It would be like if the Chicago Bulls or the Miami Heat were doing what they were doing in the refusing to tank. If there was a 2-year tanking system needed, and every single one of their players is going to be a free agent that isn't a rookie. Like, you would, if you're going to be bad, you get whatever assets you can for your players. Like, you could find, there's a way. You effectively, with Chicago, you lose your pick via pick swap. There is a way you could trade Marina Mabrey to somewhere and get Chicago involved in that deal and get your pick swap back. Get your actual pick back. And not have to settle with the Phoenix Mercury's pick. There's a way you can get your pick back. But no, you've chose not to. This is a choice. This is literally a choice, which I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's a freaking choice by the Connecticut Sun. Like, it is... It's a big, like... It just doesn't make sense. It just does not make sense. Genuinely. Like... what are they doing? Like, and they're like, they basically just want to stick it to Marina Mabrey. They're screwing their future to effectively stick it to Marina Mabrey. And apparently, according to the president, has said other GMs are threatening their GM throughout the whole process. What are they threatened? Saying, you just trade us Marina Mabrey. You do realize she's gonna walk, don't you? Like, that's not a threat. Like, telling a team that does not have a practice facility, and by the way, she basically just goes, the fans have to trust us about a practice facility. They're not building no practice facility. I'm sorry, they're not building a practice facility. Like, we know that. We can be honest here. They ain't building a practice facility in Phoenix, or sorry, in Connecticut. They're not getting a practice facility. They're just going to keep... It's going to be a thing where it's like, in the CBA, there's going to be something where it's like, you have to have plans for a practice facility ready by a certain amount of date, and it has to be built by a certain date. And they're just going to keep pushing it longer and longer and longer, waiting until like all the expansion teams are in, and they're going to be able to sell their franchise, which they probably purchased for next to nothing, or at one stage was worth 10 million, to sell it for 600 million, which they probably could do. They could probably sell it for 500 million. At least. They're probably just waiting and waiting and waiting to sell it when they believe it's peak value, or when they have to, rather than, selling it freaking now for 300 mil when they know in 3 years' time it's going to be worth 600 mil. So, yeah, they're just going to stall. They're going to stall. Whatever it says in the CBA, the Mohegan Sun Tribe are going to genuinely, they're going to sell the team eventually. It's a matter of when, not if. But yeah, it's going to happen. But right now, they're literally just trying to stick it to Marina Mabrey. They're screwing with their future to stick it to a player that doesn't want to be there. I'm sorry, nobody wants to be in Connecticut. And people are like, oh, the fans are great. It's a great team to play for. No, it's not. The fans are great. Sure. The fans are great. But, like, how lucky did you get? How lucky did you get that Kurt Miller realized that Alyssa Thomas was like a point forward? Not even just a point forward, that she was essentially your point guard. How lucky did you get that Kurt Miller and Stephanie White were able to develop Dejanay Carrington? How lucky did you get that you went from Kurt Miller to Stephanie White? That even though you screwed the Jonquel Jones trade by getting Beck Allen back, you at least were able to bring in a coach like Stephanie White, who, even though she struggled at Vanderbilt, did exceptionally well. Look, the people making the basketball decisions tend to make good basketball decisions. Like, you drafted a player that would, if she had declared for the draft 1 year later, in Layla Lacan, would probably be the number 3 pick in this year's draft, at 9 last year. So, whoever's making basketball decisions, and by the way, I think the free agency moves, or the Diamond to Shields was a weird one, but, like, I like the Tina Charles move. So it's clearly you're making win now moves, but, like, it's hard, it's really hard making win now moves when you're never going to win now. You're never going to win now. And not only that, like, it's the 2-year tank rule. If you win 20 games this year, I'm telling you, if you win 20 games this year, you are going to have to go 0-6 or 0-50 next year to get the best chance at Juju Watkins. Just go trade Mabrey. You're not going to get anything in the 2027 draft. Trade Mabrey, get your pick back next year. Trust me. Trade Mabrey, try to get a young player on a rookie deal and get your pick back. Doesn't even have to be a star player on a rookie deal. Just someone on a rookie deal. Trade Tash Cloud and get a top 6 or 7 pick in this year's draft. I'm trying to think of a team that could do with a point guard that has salary. Like, she's not going back to Washington. Heck, just make the trade. Send Tash Cloud to the Liberty. Or send Mabrey to the Liberty. Do with one of them. If you want to send Mabrey to the Liberty, go get pick 7. If you want to go and... actually, to be fair, I don't think the Liberty will give up 7 for Mabrey. Just try and get 7. If not, get a 2026 first round pick. Just get as much as you can. Go... Like, you can't obviously do it with the Fever because of money. But, like, what do you do? Could you get to 2 Fever second round picks? in some sort of like a 3-team trade where the Fever get off Christy Wallace? Could you go and like send Mabrey somewhere and get some picks back and like take in, as the player you take in is Christy Wallace, and you get a pick from someone else from Mabrey, and then you take the 2 second rounds from the Fever to get off Wallace? I don't know. Like, is that a possibility, or even a second from the Fever? Like, if a team was smart, that's what they'd be doing. They would be working around trying to improve this roster long term, not short term, because there is nothing they can do short term. But anyway, I'll see you guys.